Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Narinder Hall, Vice President, Finance, Programs and Administration at the Ontario Centres of Excellence. Welcome to today's Innovation Partners presentation. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a number of organizations who are partners in the innovation space here in Ontario. Each is either a department or agency of the provincial or federal governments, or they receive funding from the government. Together they offer the innovators and entrepreneurs a variety of programs, opportunities, and advice to help them develop their research and businesses. Our first presentation this afternoon will be from the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs, or ONE, and our presenter is Susan McLean. Susan is the manager of the Network Programs Unit at the Ministry of Research and Innovation, Ministry of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure. ONE is a collaboration network of organizations across Ontario designed to help entrepreneurs, businesses, and researchers commercialize their ideas by providing a comprehensive suite of programs and services across the full commercialization continuum from idea to market. These programs are provincially supported and regionally developed, ensuring that everyone across the province has access to the same high-quality resources and expertise. If you have any questions, there should be an opportunity to ask them at the end of the presentation. Please welcome Susan McLean.
Thanks, Narinder. As you can see, the title in the organization is so long. That's why you'll see we have so many acronyms. So I'll try and make sure that all our acronyms are explained, but we find it easier than having all of these very long titles, organizations. So I'm just going to give an overview of the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs. I think the speakers that follow me are going to get into some real depth on the actual programs that are being delivered and how you can access those and some of the specifics on those. So I'm talking about how all of these various pieces fit together. Let's see. So essentially, the ONE, or the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs, should do this like this, is first of all, why did we create it? We created the ONE, and it started in various iterations as early as 10 years ago, but as it's evolved over the years, it's evolved into the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs. And it's really because early stage high growth firms drive the majority of jobs and job growth in Ontario. So it's very important for us as a province to make sure that we're helping that growth and we are supporting entrepreneurs, startups, and high growth firms. The Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs represents a one-stop shop for anyone involved in planning, launching, or building a company, whether it's a Main Street retailer or a high-tech startup or a growing manufacturer. And our organizations are comprised of not-for-profit organizations primarily. We also involve colleges, universities, there are regional municipal partnerships, and ministry offices. So we have various types of organizations, but they're all coming together to deliver these services. So what is included in the ONE? Essentially, we break it into three broad pillars. We have the Main Street entrepreneurs, so small business enterprise centers. We have 57 of those, which are focused on providing services to our Main Street entrepreneurs. Those are typically entrepreneurs such as retailers, restaurants, clients that have been in business 0 to 5 years and have less than 10 employees. So they're existing at the regional level. And as I say, those are a collaboration with the municipalities. Then we also have our business advisory services, which they target existing and aspiring high growth SMEs. We have 26 advisors across the province that act in a consultative way with the senior executives of these companies, and they're really helping work with them to increase exports and revenue growth. And then the final pillar is focused on the innovation and technology-based entrepreneurs. And that's where my team focuses, and obviously at Discovery today, that's where I'm going to be talking about most of the programs that we're offering. So altogether, though, that comprises 130 organizations involving, as I say, the post-secondary institutions, and everything is sort of dedicated to supporting entrepreneurs and building a pipeline of many different types and sizes of entrepreneurs across the province. I've sort of spoken to this one already, so I'm going to jump into the regional innovation centers. We have 18 regional innovation centers across the province, and so they're here to help serve and coordinate at the regional level and to create a single innovation focal point. Each one has evolved, and I've got sort of the logos of all of them, but each one has evolved to meet the needs of their own region. So all of our regional innovation centers offer a core suite of programming, but you'll see in each case there are many distinct partnerships happening in certain regions to offer programs that are specific to the uniqueness and the situations in those regions. But where the core programming that we offer through our services, it focuses on advisory and mentorship services, market and customer development support, peer networking, access to technical expertise, and also, of course, financing opportunities and access to capital. All of the services that are offered through these programs are free of charge. So we are putting supports and services out there for the entrepreneurs. OCE, hosting us here today, offers the Industry Academic Collaboration Program, and that helps to build a bridge between industry and academic institutions, which will help harness and extract increased economic value from the great research that's happening at our post-secondary institutions. And the three goals are really to help innovative companies leverage the resources and expertise at the provincial research institutions, to promote greater commercialization, and also to build skills and talent by providing real-world experience for Ontario's next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs. And our most recent addition to the innovation side of the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs is the campus-linked accelerators, or on-campus entrepreneurship activities. This program was started through the Youth Job Strategy in 2013, and in many cases these campus-linked accelerators already existed, but what we were doing was helping to expand and support some of those great programs, and also helping to ignite and kickstart programs on campuses where they didn't already exist. These programs are networked in and are working closely with the activities at the Regional Innovation Center, so it's really helping to build an ecosystem approach. And the programs may offer a range of services. As I say, it differs from instance to instance, but they focus on activities such as mentorship, coaching, fellowships, peer networking, assistance with team building, funds and equipment to help with prototyping, tools and resources. And also it can just be general engagement, hackathons, speaker series. So it's really trying to build experience for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, and helping, as I say, to build into that pipeline. So having them connected with our regional innovation centers really helps to create a continuum and build the pipeline of startups. So this map here sort of shows what our ecosystem looks like from the campus-linked accelerators and the regional innovation centers now. As I mentioned, each of the campus-linked accelerators is connected to a regional innovation center, so I realize it's a very busy map, but it gives you a sense of the types of activities and how they are connected, and also the provincial reach that is happening here. Also, I think it's important to note that you know, our network, the needs of the provinces, they're constantly evolving, and so we also look to evolve the programming. So over time, what you'll see is new programs being offered. As I say, the CLAs is sort of being one of the more recent mainstream activities that has been brought into it, and you know, now as we're seeing more need for companies to start scaling, we've been focused on entrepreneurs and helping startups for a long time, but now the good news is we're seeing more need to help them with scaling. So I think as we go forward, we'll be looking to create and offer more programs to work with that segment of our community. So if you don't already happen to know your local regional innovation center or campus-linked accelerator, the best way to get involved is you can just connect through our onebusiness.ca website. The website is focused, you know, it sort of has headings such as starting your business, growing your business, financing your business. So there's intuitive headlines to help draw you in and understand what needs, what programs we have for various needs that you may have, and it'll also connect you if you put in your postal code with whatever the regional resources that you have close by in your community. And so, in summary, really what we tout is that it's a no wrong door approach. As I mentioned, we've got over 130 organizations involved, but each organization is very aware of the services that all of the other organizations provide. So as soon as you come in, we'll make sure that your needs are connected to the right services or programs that are directly applicable. And what we are looking to provide is accessibility within an entrepreneur's community and a range of services across the continuum of entrepreneurs and startups, including the continuum from the innovation, from product development to risk capital. So that sort of gives you, as I say, the overview of the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs. And as I say, the speakers that are going to follow me will talk to the specifics of many of those programs and what the eligibility criteria are and how you would apply directly to those. But this is sort of the overarching umbrella under which all of them fit, just to give you some context. So with that, are there any questions? Good. That makes it easy. All right.
Good afternoon. For those of you just joining us, I'm Narendra Hall, Vice President of Finance Programs and Administration here at OCE. Our next presentation is from the Ministry of Research and Innovation, Ministry of Economic Development, Employment and Infrastructure, and the presenter is Tyler Middlebrook. Gotta shorten that down. A Senior Policy Advisor in the Capital Programs Unit. Tyler will be speaking to us about Ontario government's risk capital initiatives. If you have any questions, there should be an opportunity to ask them at the end. Please welcome Tyler Middlebrook.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to talk about two of Ontario's risk capital programs, the Mars Investment Accelerator Fund and the Angel Network Program. Before I get into the details of these two programs, I'd like to take a moment to talk about the importance of risk capital in general. And when we say risk capital, we do mean basically angel investors and angel capital, as well as a little bit of venture capital. For those of us working directly in the innovation space, or those of us developing innovation policy, we recognize that access to capital is critical for startup and early stage innovative companies. Many of the companies receiving services through the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs will reach an inflection point in their development where they will require further capital in order to grow. For many of these companies, traditional financing is not an option. Risk capital is critical for these companies and is also important to Ontario's economy. As we know, up to 60% of net new jobs are created as a result of risk capital investments. As well, several Ontario global success stories grew and prospered due in part to timely injections of risk capital. Ontario's strategy is to catalyze and grow a globally competitive domestic risk capital industry. The strategy involves a market-driven, profit-based model that is complementary to the private sector. And is also meant to position Toronto, Ontario, as a venture capital hub. One of the ways Ontario is implementing its risk capital strategy is through the Investment Accelerator Fund. Launched in 2006 and managed by Mars IAF, the fund makes investments of up to $500,000, which companies can then use for a variety of different business activities to support their growth. To date, the IAF has run a life sciences stream that made investments up to $1 million and is currently running a youth stream where investments up to $250,000 are made into youth-led Ontario companies. For those entrepreneurs in the audience or anyone interested in applying to the IAF, you can do so directly online from the IAF's website listed on my two sides here. It is important to note that the IAF is highly competitive. Companies are subjected to rigorous due diligence, and a limited number of companies will actually receive funding. There's also a minimum criteria that companies must meet to be considered for funding, which is also listed on the website in sort of small print there. But I suggest and advise you to visit this page. So some of the results of the IAF fund to date. Over $50 million has been invested into 102 promising Ontario-based companies. The fund has successfully exited 11 of these investments. It's created or retained over 1,400 jobs. and portfolio companies have attracted over $400 million in follow-on investment. So there's the link if you want to check out the IAF. The next program I would like to discuss is the Angel Network Program. The ANP connects high-potential entrepreneurs with angel investors who provide both capital and valuable business experience to promising startup companies. What's important to note is that, unlike the IAF, the ANP does not provide any investment dollars to companies. The ANP funds the infrastructure, back office, and coordination that makes it easier for angels to identify promising opportunities and keep them sustainable. To date, we have seen strong integration between angel groups and the regional innovation centers. Some angel groups require their applicants to go through their local RIC for advice or mentorship prior to pitching. This demonstrates how closely and how integrated the one is and how it provides both services to entrepreneurs and builds quality deal flow for investors. Investments by ANP groups are often syndicated between several members, groups, and other seed stage investors, such as the IAF. You can see the geographic coverage of the groups on this map. There are 10 officially recognized angel groups under the ANP at the present. The NAOO also, so that's the National Angel Organizations Ontario, also recognizes several angel clubs, which are less structured groups of accredited investors, whereby, by contrast, each of the 10 angel groups is a registered non-for-profit corporation. However, it's important to note that investments made by group members are not bound by region. Angel venture groups will consider investments from outside their coverage areas. And that being said, the NAOO is always looking for ways to expand its presence and coordinate angel activity across the province. Again, for companies in the audience, this is the website where you can apply to have an ANP group consider your company for investment. Perhaps the GUST platform is familiar to some of you. It's a network that allows angel groups and venture capital investors to connect to companies that are seeking funding. And all ANP groups use GUST as a portal to apply for funding. Again, it's important to note that this funding is competitive and there's no guarantees associated with it. However, angel investors may have a different risk tolerance than other seed or VC investors and may also have their own entrepreneurial experience that might help a company maximize its growth more effectively. So some of the ANP results to date: they've invested over $107 million into more than 350 Ontario companies. It's reported that another $127 million has been invested into these companies at the same time as angels. So that's good evidence of deal syndication taking place. And public funding for NAO angel groups has leveraged investment at a rate of approximately 57-1. So for every $1 that the Ontario government is putting in, we're seeing $57 invested at the same time. And from the companies receiving investment that reported their job creation, over 1,700 jobs have been created or retained. So another good evidence that the program is working and producing good results. For more information, the Angel Network program can be accessed by a Google search or at the website below. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
It's a pleasure to introduce you to our next Innovation Partner presentation from the Office of Social Enterprise. Here to present today is Julia Gallo, who will provide an overview of Ontario's social enterprise activities. If there's questions, I'm sure there'll be time at the end for you to ask them. Thank you. Julia?
Hello, everyone. I'm here on behalf of my division, the Open for Business division at the Ministry of Economic Development. And I'll give you a brief overview. So I am from the Office for Social Enterprise. Now, which one here is the clicker? This one here. There we go. So social enterprise is essentially a for-profit or a not-for-profit that has as its core mission some sort of social and environmental impact. So the graphic there on the screen shows that it's really that internal area there in between a pure not-for-profit and a pure for-profit. It also consists of, for example, some cooperatives are also social mission cooperatives, which would be considered social enterprises. So there are quite a few in Ontario, so that's a general estimate. And because it's such a large number, it was recognized as a key area to look at in terms of economic development, and also basically looking at the economic contribution and also the social and environmental contribution. So there are as I mentioned, there are quite a few, and this is the first year at the Discovery Conference that we have a social enterprise zone, which is literally right directly behind you. There are 20 social enterprises that are featured there, and we also have a booth, so you can come and visit us at the social enterprise booth, the Office for Social Enterprise booth, and we have some pamphlets in that which we can provide to you. We also, I'm just going to hold up because it is such a growing, it's kind of hard to, there we go. This is a copy of our strategy, which includes 20 plus commitments to support the social enterprise sector. And just recently, we released, and you'll find this at our booth, a progress report on the achievement of these commitments in this strategy. So it's a fantastic day for us. We also, so just to give you some examples of what social enterprises are, so Habitat for Humanity, as an example, is a social enterprise. They are a charity, as most of you know. At the same time, they have what's called a restore, which provides, basically sells used furniture, any cabinetry, any other building materials that are not used, doors as an example, and that money then gets reinvested back into the charity, into the mission. So that's an example of a social enterprise. Another example of a social enterprise, which is actually part of our zone, is called Options Printing. And they employ persons with some sort of a disability, and they provide training for them. So it's a 12-month program where they bring in these individuals and actually give them some sort of training. Some of them don't have any work experience, to provide that sort of framework or the foundation to get jobs in the future. So that's another example. That's a not-for-profit organization. So I'm just playing catch up here on my slides. So our strategy contains 4 main buckets of activity. The first activity, policy coordination, that's really working across government to advance the social enterprise sector and the agenda. So for example, the Ontario Poverty Reduction Strategy, which talks about all kinds of initiatives that the government is undertaking to fight poverty. Our work is featured in that strategy. So really building the linkages across the government. With respect to social finance tools, we've got a lot of different initiatives happening sort of in this bucket. Our Social Enterprise Demonstration Fund it's a $4 million fund, and it was launched in February of this year. And essentially, we funded 11 intermediary organizations. They're not-for-profits. And if you're interested in knowing more about those organizations, there's a list at our booth that can help you out. And essentially, those intermediary organizations will in turn fund social enterprises, either through grants, loans, and that sort of thing. Interesting feature of this program is that you'll notice the description of social finance tools talks a little bit about leveraging private sector and other like foundation investment. So a feature of that fund is that we take the government dollar and we require that it be matched by other funding. So the $4 million leverage $6 million in other funding, so private sector or nonprofit as an example of funding. In addition, similarly, you'll notice the Ontario Catapult Microloan Fund, that was actually almost a precursor of the Social Enterprise Demonstration Fund. Same features in terms of the private sector or other investment. And that's basically a microloan program So loans of up to $5,000 to $25,000 that are provided to social enterprises. And we have 4 of those social enterprises that are featured in the social enterprise zone. So come on by. It's a lot of fun. It's very, very interesting. The other initiative you'll see referenced there is social impact bonds. So if you haven't heard of those before, those are essentially, to illustrate through an example, it's where there's private or foundation, as an example, investment in a social service. So one of the most popular social impact bonds is actually in the United Kingdom, and they got that investment, put it towards training for persons that were just released from the prison system, to provide training and employment services to get them back into the market. Where there was a savings to government as a result of reduced recidivism, so people not coming back into the prison system, then where there was a savings to government, a portion of that savings was returned to the investor. So that's a very interesting model. If you Google social impact bonds, you'll find more. We can tell you more about at our booth at what we're doing right now. We're actually trying to launch a social impact bond. So stay tuned for more on that. With respect to capacity building, there's a lot of different things that we do to really help the social enterprise sector help themselves, right? To give them the tools that they need to move forward. Working through the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs that you heard about. Also looking at something called social return on investment, which is placing an economic value on things that are normally seen as qualitative. So improved quality of life. How do we actually put a monetary value on these sorts of things? So that's a tool that can be used by social enterprises to increase their investment. And the last bucket here is outreach and promotion. So this is some kind of outreach and promotion, I suppose, making sure that we're heard and we're showing the face of the social enterprise sector. But also we have an event called Impact Ontario, this is the 2nd year running. The date of the conference is May 25th, and it essentially brings investors together with social entrepreneurs. So that is an example of what we're doing there. We also have a Twitter handle, which is on the last slide. So just wrapping up a little bit, our progress report is available at our booth. This is what it looks like. Provides an update on our strategy. And in there are some of the items featured right here on the slide. We also have, I think I've covered the social enterprise demonstration from. The last item there is something called the Social Venture Exchange, SVX, which is basically an online platform for social ventures to gather investment. So it brings the two sides together. And there was an affiliate, this is Mars, that really has worked on this platform. And we recently partnered with them and they actually launched an SVX California. So we've been really engaged with that to profile Ontario companies, Ontario social ventures on that platform. So I'm happy to take questions. I will be here. Any questions? Good. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Narendra Hall, Vice President of Finance, Programs and Administration at the Ontario Centres of Excellence. It's my pleasure to introduce you to our next Innovation Partner presentation. Here to present is Bob Civak, who is the Senior Vice President of Business Development and Commercialization at OCE. As you may know, OCE drives the development of Ontario's economy by helping create new jobs, products, services, technologies, and businesses. In partnership with industry, OCE co-invests to commercialize innovation originating in Ontario's publicly funded colleges, universities, and research hospitals. If you have any questions, Bob will be around to answer questions at the end of his presentation.
Okay, hi, thanks. And good afternoon, and thanks for stopping in. I'm going to take you the next 10 minutes, I'm going to take you through a romp through the latest OCE program offering, okay? And I'm going to go quickly, and I'm going quickly just because there's a lot to cover, not because what I'm covering is not that important, and that will allow us to it's a small group, feel free to ask some questions. I'm going to allow lots of time at the end because I'm going to whip through this, okay? So first slide. Oh, there we go. So a little history. History is always interesting. Actually, we've come a long way. This is the 10th anniversary of Discovery. We started out fairly small and have grown like this. We were established in 1987. When OCE was established, it was primarily an organization funding industry-relevant research at our academic institutions. So we've come a long way from funding industry-relevant research to having collaborative research initiatives. And then commercialization and entrepreneurship is our latest. And of course, we are part of the Ontario Network of Entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurship represents about 50% of every single thing that we do at OCE these days, maybe even more if you consider that a lot of the research and the collaborations that are going on are basically extremely entrepreneurial in nature as it goes. So therefore, there's not much that's happening in this hall or in our world that doesn't touch on innovation and entrepreneurship. What we do, I've kind of said, these are. If I was going to highlight a couple of these bullets without getting bullet 2, leveraging the resources that exist at our academic institution is probably one of our most fundamental drivers at OCE. It's a simple notion. Academic institutions across the province provide research capabilities, but even much more. There's resources, there's talent, there's facility. The idea is to make it available to both existing enterprises, make them aware of it, and have them invest in it, take advantage of it to drive economic prosperity. And of course, even more so with entrepreneurship and new startups, to have these resources available, not only from the academic institution from which the young entrepreneurs have emerged, but to connect them to others, because once you start, you never know where the next resource could come from, and it could be at a college up north, it could be at a university downtown Toronto, or it could be at a research hospital in Hamilton or London. What's unique, OCE, we run a wide variety of programs. I'm going to show them to you in a minute. One of our fundamental drivers, or what's different about OCE than other organizations, is our business development group that works across the province. I have the privilege of leading that team, and among other things at OCE. And really, they're like a little army that's spread out throughout the province and works with our academic institutions, works with our industrial partners, works with our regional innovation centers, works with our young entrepreneurs, works with young and old talent right across the province, and tries to put projects together for the ultimate benefit and create new jobs, new technologies, new products, new revenues. This just shows you our investment envelope, gives you a rough idea of the type of dollars that OCE has at its disposal, or with our partners, to make these investments. These are annual figures. There's been significant growth since 11 and 12, and our numbers are even getting bigger as we go forward. All right, this is a busy chart, but it basically, it's interesting, because if you start reading this, you'll see how many programs we have, and you'll know why I'm not going to get into detail by program. I am going to peel back this onion just a little bit, but what I want you to think about is think about OCE in terms of 4 envelopes, 4 kind of envelopes. So, envelope 1, industry academic partnerships, all right? Number 2, commercialization, closely related to entrepreneurship, almost inseparable in a sense, but maybe a little bit different, because entrepreneurship more about the talent side of things, commercialization more about investment, if you want to think of it that way, and technology. And then a wide variety of strategic initiatives, and I don't mean to demean them by putting them in an envelope, because each one of them is a very significant, not just opportunity, but a significant program on its own regard. So we'll just put them like that. So that simplifies matters. Okay, let's peel back a little bit. Collaboration vouchers. So we call these these programs a voucher program. But what is a voucher? Okay, in essence, a voucher is a project award, if you want to think about it that way. A voucher is the approval of a project and a budget that allows a partner to utilize resources. So think of the voucher as being redeemable at your favorite academic institution. That's how the voucher program works. In particular, I'd want to draw your attention to what we call the VIP1. So VIP1 is a high volume program, right? So anybody looking to do a research partnership, you don't need to have a research component necessarily to get a VIP voucher. It's if the industry, whether you're a startup or whether you're an existing enterprise, if you can use resources, technology, capabilities at one of our academic institutions, if you can use it to benefit the company, then you can qualify for a VIP voucher in order to entertain that project, right? And that requires a small cash contribution from the industrial partner and the rest provided by OCE or some of our partners. Those in turn can be levered up. VIP2 is just a larger scale, more significant version of VIP1. The voucher for e-commerce is a program that is delivered exclusively by our colleges in Ontario, and that's to support enterprises trying to improve the way they do business on the internet. For a simple man's version, obviously it includes mobile application and more complex scenarios, but that's it for in essence. Our VIA is our industrial association. They are larger scale projects that are more sector orientated. For example, going into next year, our most significant one will be on aerospace. And there's a couple of others in there as well, but that's how that works. Market readiness. Market readiness is moving products from the academic institution into the marketplace. There's a wide variety of these available to make things happen. Most of these now apply to a startup scenario. So there's a startup scenario that have gone. I'm actually showing you these in reverse order. I should start with a smaller program. I'm going to end with the small program. I'm not sure why, but maybe I'll recycle back to this market readiness when I finish talking about the Smart Start program. But suffice it to say, these are significant opportunities, moving technology forward and accelerating companies so that they can go into the marketplace. Talent Edge is two components to Talent Edge, and obviously they're talent related. One is internship, one is fellowship. So fellowship is PhD, internships are master's, and a very limited amount of undergraduate opportunities. The undergraduate opportunities are in partnership with IRAP. More detail, by the way, more detail on all of these things that I'm kind of covering the surface is available on our OCE website. Hopefully, actually, this would be really good if you're getting a kind of a picture. So when you go home tonight, you'll all want to go on the website and study up all these programs. Youth Entrepreneurship, our most significant new high growth program is campus-linked accelerators. We call them CLAs, and we call you'll hear this term OSEA, which will shortly disappear from our vocabulary because it's getting kind of confusing. Just think of OSEA as a smaller scale project involving entrepreneurship. You can think of the whole thing as a campus-linked accelerators. These are young students on campus wanting to pursue entrepreneurism, either by knowing more about it or actually getting to the point of starting companies and going forward from there. Well, I'm going to say all but 2 institutions across the province have one of these campus-linked accelerators. And I think if somebody asked me what was the most significant thing that's happening right now, what's happening in your world right now, I would say it's entrepreneurship at the student level. It's growing exponentially. It's more than a phenom, and it's going to hopefully produce some outstanding results as we go forward. You're going to see a lot of it reoccurring around here, and as you walk around, I think that it's very, if you compare what's happening now to what was happening 5-6 years ago, this is absolutely an incredible opportunity right now as we're running through these new types of entrepreneurship that are happening on campus, and the leadership that our academic institutions are providing in this regard. All right, I remember I referred to, I was out of sequence at one point, our Smart Start Seed Fund actually is our first level of support for new company creation. And this is what supports the initial investments in these startups that are coming out of all these CLAs and the on-campus activities across the province. We're probably doing about 80 of these a year. I think we did 100 and change last year. So we're trying to slow it down a bit, but if you think between 80 and 100 new enterprises invested through this means. And by the way, all of these companies, a criteria is they must get matching funds. Matter of fact, all of our commercial programs are matching funds. So those of you who are thinking that these are dollars that are just being handed out, that's not the way it's working. This is early instruction on the life of a real entrepreneur. You go out, you have to find matching funding before you can come to us and get awards. When we first launched this program, we thought, well, this might be a problem. We're not going to get deal flow because of the matching funds, but we get about those 80 awards. There's 200 applications chasing those 80 awards. So that tells you something about the environment. It tells you something about entrepreneurism in the province is alive and well. And I think it bodes well, and you're going to see a lot of them here. Big data, high performance computing continues to be a focus area. I don't have the time to highlight all of remember the fourth pillar where I was showing you all the special initiatives, but I wanted to specifically highlight high performance computing and all the things that come with it. You saw, those of you who saw the talk about the artificial intelligence and some other things, you can understand this is not that, this is big data. So big data is leading to a lot of discoveries, big in the unlocking the genome to recalculating advanced design methodologies. Anyway, there you go. Anyway, that's my 10-minute romp to the minute. So I'm here to answer any questions that you might have. Even if it's not related to that, I'll be happy to answer it. Yes? What type of matching funds? Okay, so investment or revenue? Investment or revenue? What's that? Yeah, a combination. We will take a combination. You can have a combination. And by the way, your investment capital could be from the F's, the 3 F's. You know what the 3 F's are, right? No? Well, friends and families. Friends, families, and the third F. Somebody else can tell you, I know. It's not really true, but yeah, it can come from, or it can, there's a vibrant, there's an increasing vibrant angel investment community that's mobilized and partners with us, and we're trying to bring them more and more into the investment. It's a challenge because sometimes you don't want them in there too soon. So it's kind of challenging as to how this investment comes. So, but it is a combination, and there are a lot of startups, young startups with early revenue. That's a big deal for them as well. Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah. You can apply to different universities for either the same project, or you can, really it's not, it's meant to be a standalone project. It's not meant to be continually renewed, if that's the question you're asking. So it should be a standalone project. It could be continually, it could seed a larger scale project. You could jump to VIP2. You could do a second VIP1 if you can make the case. You can switch universities if you can make the case. But basically, you're allowed to present your proposal, and you would be assessed. But we would ask all the questions as to why you're switching and why you're continuing and what you learn. So yeah, there's not a lot of restrictions. We would obviously we try not to have one company continually reapplying, but there is some flexibility to move things forward in a positive direction for you. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah, well, there's two ways it happens, okay? So there are companies that want an intern. They come to us. They say, we want an intern that is this profile. And then we'll go to we'll see where the locale is in any choice of institution, or we'll give a couple options, and then we'll float one and we'll find a candidate. That's one option. Option two is the company finds a candidate, right? And then puts together and then the candidate and company put together an application. Option three, the candidates go out and actively look for a partner, and then get the partner to generate an application. So there's a multiple way, and we get applications from all those three types of scenarios.